Hello everyone, these videos couldn't be possible without. I plan to do all 13 ghosts in real life. Some have been a challenge to find and others I have found the perfect fit. If you have any suggestions for real life stories that could fit these ghost stories, please leave a comment down below. In the DVD version of 13 Ghosts, there is a very cool special feature where the life and death stories of all 13 ghosts are narrated. Luckily, thanks to we have the typed-out version of the firstborn son story. Billy Michaels. Billy was a young boy, highly addicted to Western and cowboy movies, and he hated anyone who disagreed with him. He was also a stubborn brat, having everything he wanted, whenever he wanted. One day, one of his friends found a real steel arrow in his parents' closet and challenged Billy to a duel. Billy, dressed in his cowboy suit, was armed with 2 toy guns, but they were no match for the steel arrow, as it hit him in the back of the head, killing him instantly. Cyrus Kritikos. His rebellious attitude and refusal to accept defeat was a perfect fit for my violent circle of angry spirits. In the movie, the 13 ghosts are all symbolic of the Black Zodiac. According to villains.fandom.com, the Black Zodiac, the firstborn son, is equivalent to Aries in the traditional zodiac. Both are the first of their zodiac class, and both are exemplified by their youthful eagerness and immaturity. They are the brutes of the world, reckless, rebellious daredevils, very impulsive, and do things without much thought. Although the firstborn son in the movie is portrayed in a dark light, I would like to remind everyone that the real-life story I chose to talk about in this video is just that, a real-life story. This boy lost his life at a tender young age. Sadly, the story of how he died fits Billy Michaels' story well. This tragic real-life story takes place in Swansea, Wales, specifically in the suburban district of Lansamlet. Swansea is a coastal city with a population of 246. 563 recorded in 2020. This city is considered to be the second largest in Wales. It is in this city where a boy named Rhys Johnson once lived with his parents, Dave and Wendy, and his at the time 14-year-old sister, Ashley. In the afternoon of September 28, 2009, 10-year-old Rhys Johnson found a gun in his family garage. Rhys and his 12-year-old friend went to play in the fields behind the Johnson family home. A neighbor named Ms. Hickson would go on to tell reporters that same afternoon the granddaughter of one of her friends said that Rhys and his friend had a gun and were playing cowboys and Indians. Ms. Hickson stated that because the children were so young, she naturally assumed that the little girl meant a toy gun. About a half hour after that conversation, Ms. Hickson would hear a commotion that would shake the neighborhood. After hearing an ambulance arrive, Ms. Hickson describes walking to the area where the 2 boys had been playing. She seen the paramedics desperately trying to revive Rhys. The other neighborhood onlookers told Ms. Hickson that Rhys had been shot. The boy he had been playing with was screaming as another neighbor told Ms. Hickson that Rhys was not just shot once but twice, and the 2 pellets were in his chest. One pellet was near Rhys's heart and the other had entered his lung. After 8 hours of surgery with no avail, Rhys was pronounced dead. Just a few hours before the tragic game of cowboys and Indians, Ms. Hickson had given them ice lollies from her fridge. Little Rhys knew her as Auntie Sonia. Police took the gun in for examination and determined that it was a high-powered air weapon used to shoot rabbits. The incident was treated as a terrible accident. Rhys was described as a quiet but popular and likable young man who was well-mannered. Neighbors around the Johnson family would often see Rhys playing in the neighborhood where many residents had become acquainted with him. It has been very challenging and rewarding trying to find real-life ghosts that fit the stories of the 13 ghosts. This challenge for me started with figuring out what pieces of the ghost stories were important enough to frame the components the real-life stories needed to have to match the criteria for their corresponding ghost. The firstborn son story had a few key elements that stuck out to me. Number 1 was obviously the firstborn son that could be an adult or child, but had to be either their parents only or firstborn son. I also believed that an important element in Billy Michael's story was the lack of awareness to the danger that the other child's arrow may have imposed. What drew both stories together for me, however, was the bizarre idea that something as seemingly harmless as carefree children and a well-known child's role-playing game could end a child's life. Like Billy, Rhys also seemed to disregard the danger that an air pistol would impose. A small difference in this story is that Billy's shooter found the arrow and challenged Billy to a game, while Rhys was the one who found the air pistol. However, both were shot and killed by their playmates. One killed by a gun and the other killed by an arrow, which to me almost mirrored each other. Although Billy was dressed up in cowboy attire, Rhys was merely said to be playing cowboys and Indians. While researching the topic of the 13 ghosts, I came across villains.fandom.com, which contained the idea of the black zodiac being mirrored by the zodiac, which really caught my attention. As stated earlier from the black zodiac, the firstborn son is equivalent to Aries in the traditional zodiac. Both are the first of their zodiac class, and both are exemplified by their youthful eagerness and immaturity. They are the brutes of the world, reckless, rebellious daredevils, very impulsive and do things without much thought. Although I couldn't find much more stated about this theory on the other ghosts pages, I would like to use this idea going forward. It seems that the negative traits of the zodiac are enhanced and magnified in the black zodiac. In my experience, I have found that zodiac and horoscope readings seem to be broad enough to be able to fit themselves into almost any situation where someone could believe them to be accurate. Nevertheless, I have always thought zodiac and horoscope readings were a fun pastime, so let's take a chance on this idea. Youthful immaturity is portrayed in both stories by Billy and Rhys's lack of understanding as to the damage that could be caused by the weapons that were being used as a toy. Eagerness is a vague word to use in this story because someone could be excited to play a game, show off the weapon they found, etc. The word isn't a huge part of the story. However, reckless, rebellious daredevil is a very good description for Rhys. Billy may not have known that the arrow was real, but Rhys knew that the air pistol did have the ability to shoot BBs. It's not known for sure, but if you use speculation, it isn't far-fetched to think that Rhys gave the gun to his friend and was a willing participant in the shooting of himself, which would be a very impulsive and thoughtless thing to do. In the special features, Billy's story states that he has a rebellious attitude and was obsessed with cowboys and Indians. Trying to remove him from his obsession would cause him to go into a rage, which could be considered a reckless and impulsive act. His refusal to accept defeat could also be seen as impulsive because the mere idea of a challenge or taunting could be speculated to have consumed Billy's thought process and cause him to act recklessly as well. Basically, zodiacs can fit themselves anywhere, but it is going to be a fun addition to these videos that I hope you enjoy, and if you did, please consider subscribing.